Hello, everyone. Be welcome to your first BD session. And this session will be basically on how to do a proper market research. And let me tell you something in advance, which is in Isaac, we tend to think that market research is like searching for companies online, finding the names of those companies and the contacts in order for us to contact them. However, yes, something that we truly need to take into consideration is the fact that market research goes beyond that. And for this reason, we are going to have a session on how to do a proper market research. So to start with, here are the flow of our session, and we will start with what is actually a market research. And then we'll have how to do a market research. We will go in the details, so we will understand step by step what we should do in order for us to conduct a market research. And now, of course, that I know that you were expecting already me to tell you some ways through which you will be able to find some companies, although market research is not entirely related to that. We will have a space regarding this issue for sure. So regarding what is market research, so here we have a fast definition. So it is a process of gathering and analyzing information about a certain market. And the purpose for us to gather this same information is for us as Isaac, or a company in the outside world of Isaac, because it also exists, is for them to have better strategic choices. So the first step is for companies, for Isaac, to understand the market they are operating in. And based on this information, they are able to draw more strategic choices. Okay, so they will define their strategy based on the information they gather from their market they are operating in. So this is something I've already told you about. So finding companies and adding them on HPLs is not market research. Market research is more than that, a lot more than that. And in order for you to understand what market research is, I will show you how to do a proper market research step by step. And the first step is to define your objectives. So you need to understand what you want to do, what are your goals when it comes to the market research you are about to do. Then you need to identify your target audience. You need to choose your research methodology. You need to collect data. After, you need to analyze this same data in order for you to draw some conclusions, which you can see in the point number 8. But before that, you also need, in the point number 6, you also need to understand the competitiveness of the market through some methods that we will see in the next slides. And also, before the conclusions, you need to identify the trends of the market so that you can fully understand it. Okay, let's go step by step, and we will start now with the definition of the objectives of your market research. So as I have already told you, a market research is something we use in order for us to have a good market understanding, and based on this market understanding, define the strategy that we want to follow upon. So we have here some general examples of objectives that we may actually have. It might be understand the profile of the companies we want to invest the most, that are investing the most on employer branding. You may also want to understand how the market perceives our prices. Also, you may want to understand if the portfolio we are currently running is according to the needs of companies. Okay, these are just some examples of some objectives of some market researches. And in green, you can have some general examples. In red, you might see the focus that, in my opinion, we should be pursuing, we should be focusing in when it comes to BD in Isaac. So I truly believe that our objectives when it comes to market research at this time and in this timeline, of course, should be for us to understand how we can make our portfolio more relevant to companies. So we should understand whether the things we are selling are actually relevant or not. If they are perfect, we need to invest on that. If they are not, we need to try to adapt it according to the needs of the companies. And then we need to also understand the profile of companies that are more willing to invest on Isaac so that we can target our attention to this kind of company. So if we understand that, I'll give like a weird example just for you to have an idea. If we start understanding that IT companies are investing a lot on BD initiatives and they are really committed towards it, then it wouldn't make sense for us to focus on, for instance, HR companies. Okay, so if we can truly understand the profile that companies, the profile of the companies that are investing the most in Isaac, so this should be our focus of attention. And this is something we can assess through a market research. So we need also to identify our target audience. So you have here some examples of general examples of target audiences. Of course, that when it comes to BD, in my opinion, of course, our focus audience should be large enterprises and also multinationals. And you should not forget that, of course, there is a target that you can contact as BD, and the criteria are stipulated in Compendium, as you already know. And however, I will also let you know that in some examples, in some specific cases, short-term companies might also be addressed for BD purposes, and also some national partnerships and national companies allocated to the national BD. The national BD partners can also be allocated to you in the scope of collaboration cells, and collaboration cells is something that we will see in the next session. So when it comes to the research methodology, we have here some examples: the questionnaire, customer interviews, general interviews, focus groups, and also product testing. However, taking into account our current timeline, I am suggesting mainly to research methodologies, which is customer interviews and also general interviews. Okay, so customer interviews are the ones that we drive with companies that have already been our partners in the past, and this is the reason why we consider them to be our customers. Interviews by themselves are companies that we can drive with leads, not necessarily with companies with which we have signed the contract in the past. So this is my recommendation. With regard to collect data, this is non-applicable for sure, taking into account that we will be collecting data through the interviews itself. So we are doing the interviews, and at the same time we are collecting data, and from this data collection we will also be able to analyze it. And there are a lot of ways in order for us to analyze data. I will name a very specific one, which is SPSS. This is a software for data analysis that some companies use. This is quite famous, etc. However, taking into account that we are not able to invest on SPSS, we will be using Google Sheets, also because we will not deal with a lot of information, so that SPSS may not be that relevant, taking into account that we will not have like thousands of companies to analyze. So with regard to the point number 6, so there are many ways in order for us to understand the competitiveness of a certain market, being them the Porter's 5 forces. If you study management or even marketing, you already know it. Porter's diamond method, which is also very relevant more in a macro perspective, whilst Porter's 5 forces is more a micro perspective of the sector. And by the way, Porter's diamonds is like an analysis of the country in which our company, in this case our entity, is operating in. And we also have a competitors analysis. You are already familiar with this concept, and this is also the concept that I suggest us to follow, taking into consideration the timeline we are in. Then we need to identify the trends of the market in order for us to fully understand it, as the point number 7. And we can do this with a lot of methodologies. We can use a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Pestle analysis. We can also follow artificial intelligence and Google Trends. And my suggestions taking into consideration the current timeline. It's for us to capitalize a lot more on artificial intelligence and also Google Trends for market research. I will further explain this. When it comes to make conclusions and define our strategies, I didn't put the focus here because, of course, the conclusions will be taken into consideration the data that we gather. However, we can have here some general examples of conclusions that we may have in the end of this market research. For instance, we may have the conclusion on reviewing the portfolio. For some reason, we may identify that the portfolio is not being relevant, and for the same reason, we need to renew it. We may also conclude that we need to delete one product from the portfolio. We may conclude that this same product is not being relevant for companies, and for this reason, it doesn't make sense for us to be investing and for us to be focusing on the same product. Also, one conclusion might be stop targeting US multinationals. So this is a conclusion, a more generic conclusion that is not necessarily applied to BD. And we may also conclude, for instance, that we can actually have higher prices. So summing up, these are the main suggestions that I have for the market research that you can still develop throughout this semester, because like we have the pre-attraction, but the pre-attraction is done in a very short period of time. And I truly believe that market research should be something done in a more ongoing basis. And for this reason, my first suggestion is for you to drive fast customer interviews by the end of sales meetings. So we can already capitalize on the sales meeting that we have in order for us to have these fast customer interviews, okay? So we do the sales meeting, and then by the end we say, oh, by the way, we would like to ask you some questions, if that's okay with you. We are trying to assess in a more deep way our market, etc. And of course, they will say yes, because they're already in the meeting, so I don't think they will be rude. And we can capitalize on these already existing moments for us not to have extra ones when it comes to market research. This is something you need to align with the LCVP, of course. Then asking questions regarding the relevance of the portfolio and ask them to justify. So we have already presented them the portfolio, and now we will ask for some feedback, and we will take notes on the feedback that we gather from them. It's very good if we make the expectation setting in which they are freely we are freely open to receive feedback from them. So if they find that some product is not being relevant, we would really appreciate them to let us know. Then I would also suggest you to have a spreadsheet in which we can convert qualitative data, qualitative information from the interviews into quantitative. Of course, that when we ask a question, people start to develop a full answer, etc., with a lot of content, etc. But we need to find a way to try to transform this amount of information into quantitative one, okay? We can have some specific type of topics. If their answer is according to a certain topic, we select a topic, and then we can deal with information in a more quantitative way. Also, once you have achieved the desired number of interviews, analyze the data and define next steps, okay? So through the spreadsheet that I suggested you to have, you will be able to define it and to identify some patterns. And based on those patterns, you should also be able to draw and to establish a deeper strategy, okay? So you should be able to define the next steps, because if we don't define a strategy based on the market research, based on the information that we gather, then the market research was useless, because information is indeed very important, but we need to do something in accordance to the information that we gather. Otherwise, it would not be relevant. Then something that I find really important as well is for us to identify our competitors. But more, and this is a really huge mistake that we do in Isaac, we identify our competitors, all of their characteristics, but then we don't do anything about it. And it's useless if we define our competitors, but if we don't do anything about it. So according to what we define as being our competitors and its characteristics, it would be also very important for us to define some kind of pitch to companies in case they say, oh, okay, but okay, I can give you an example. EFP, for instance. Some companies, this is for global talent, but I just want you to understand the context. So they can say, oh, but with EFP, with EFP, we don't have a lot of expenses. It's much cheaper for us. While in Isaac, we need to pay the full salary, and we also need to pay taxes. And then we should have prepared the pitch. In this case, we can say that, okay, EFP doesn't allow them to have an international experience, an international culture that our interns may bring. Also, we provide counseling to our intern, and we give support to the legalities, etc. And we are next to the interns throughout their experience, so they have a different one, etc. So this is all the topics we can cover when we have a pitch, for bearing in mind our competitors, of course. So using artificial intelligence to gather data about your own market, this is quite important. So if you go to ChatGPT, and you say, okay, I'm part of an international organization. We sell employer branding products, etc. We are located in Lisbon. We can target companies from X to Y employees, X to Y countries present in. So what are the suggestions that you give me in order for me to contact these same companies? They will give you a lot of suggestions based on the characteristics of your own market. So please try to capitalize as much as you can on artificial intelligence in order for you to understand more about your market and to understand the right approach that you should have towards this same market, this same type of companies. Also, use Google Trends to understand how you can use the trends in your favor. So if we see, okay, you can use Google Trends. Google Trends is basically a platform from Google that allows you to understand the things that are being more searched in the country and also throughout the world. So for instance, if you understand that sustainability, or if you understand that corporate social responsibility aspects are being searched a lot for people, so you can have a screenshot of this, like corporate social responsibility is something that people in Portugal are searching a lot. You can present this to company and you can tell them, okay, based on this data offered by Google, we are here to present you some corporate social responsibility initiatives for you to foster the positioning that you have in your market, for instance. So try to go to Google Trends and try to define how you can connect these same trends with the proposal that you are making to companies. Also, Google Trends is a great tool in order for you to increase the credibility that we have towards partners. Okay, so I hope you understood what a market research is all about. Right now, I'm trying to help you to find some companies, although this is not quite related to market research. I know that you have this expectation, and for this reason, I'm about to show you some methods through which you can find companies that are included in the segments that you can contact, included in the market segmentation defined for BD in National Compendium. So the first thing you can do is to search for JN Empresas, okay? And the first thing, hopefully, that will appear is an information from Jornal de Notícias, is a piece of information about all the companies of Portugal, okay? So if you access this website, if you access this webpage, then you'll be able to access all the companies of Portugal. And this is undoubtedly a great way for you to find all the companies that might be relevant for you to contact in the scope of BD proposals. Also, HubSpot, okay? So in HubSpot, you can actually find a lot of companies that have been contacted by your LC and also other LCs and also the MC in the past that are not being followed up on. And for this reason, you can, of course, find there a lot of companies that are not being capitalized, and you could. So try to use this as a very important tool for you. So also LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure you are already aware that LinkedIn is a great way through which you can find some companies, you can also put there some criteria, etc., and they'll give you some companies that you can actually contact. Also ChatGPT, this is also something that I've been using a lot for national BAD. So if you put on ChatGPT, please tell me 50 companies with no more than 10K employees and that are not present in more than 10 countries that are located in Portugal. ChatGPT will let you know some examples of companies. Okay, so this is something that you can capitalize a lot for sure. Also Google Sheets, and I've put here Google Sheets taking into account that I imagine that there are a lot of HPLs done from past generations of your local committee, in which you can find there a lot of companies as well. So please ask your VPs to give you access to these past HPLs, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of companies there that you can still contact and to which you can do new approaches. Also, Apollo, I believe that some of you already know this extension from Google. This is a platform that is mainly used for you to find specific emails from people from a certain company. However, it is also possible for you to use Apollo for you to find companies as well. And I will show you how right now. I believe you can still see my screen. I hope so, at least. Apollo. Okay, I will log in my account. Okay, so basically how can you define or add companies to your HPL by using Apollo? So basically you come to search, then search companies here. And then you will not type anything here. You will not type any name of companies. And for instance, let's pretend we want to target companies from 200 until 1,000 employees, which is your market, okay? And then let's go for, we also want, just a second, companies that are located, for instance, in Lisbon. So account headquarters location, I'll put here Lisbon, Portugal. So, and then here you have the list of all the companies in Portugal that have these criteria. Okay, so you can find here a lot of companies. Okay, by simply using two criteria. Okay, by simply using two filters, you can find a lot of companies. Of course, that you need to bear in mind that we cannot have here the number of countries in which the company is present. So some of these companies might already be allocated to the MC. However, don't forget that you can do collaboration sales. So ask the MC to contact some companies in order for you to have some collaboration sales done. Okay. Also, regarding the location, something that I'll need to let you know, this is only the headquarters. Okay. So the company might be located in Lisbon, but the headquarters is in Porto, so it will not appear here. Okay, that's basically something very important to let you know. But in any case, this is a very important tool that you can capitalize a lot in order for you to find some companies. And I truly believe that this will significantly improve your quality of life, let's say, in terms of your JD in Isaac. So let's continue. That's it for today. I hope this was useful. In case you have any questions, here you have my contacts. Please feel completely free to approach me, and I will reply to you as soon as I can. Thank you a lot for your participation.